I'm recording this video 10:30 on Thursday night. Now, the benefit of doing that is that you've got a video that I can pop up at 8:30 in the morning when we can all rejoice and talk about West Ham reaching the UEFA Europa Conference League Final. That's absolutely great. The disadvantage of doing it is I've not had a chance to watch all of that stuff that happened with the crowd and the players. So I'm not fully briefed on it. By the time you watch this video, you're going to know a lot more about it than I do. So I don't want to talk too much about it. What I will say, though, just before I start, is it looked to me, and as far as I understand it at this point in time, at 10:30 on the Thursday, is I think West Ham scored, Fornals scored. They're in a little VIP section, like near the director's box, where basically West Ham get their tickets, their ticket allocation, where the players' families are. I think they've all jumped up to celebrate West Ham scoring. Appears that they've been attacked. From what I saw afterwards, the West Ham players were obviously worried, as you would be. You'd be worried about your family up there, your wife, your kids, whatever are up there. Of course you're going to be worried. So I think the players ran over, and at that point the stewards were trying to restrain them. And this is something, it looked like the stewards were trying to restrain the players rather than getting up there and protecting the families. That's what I saw. I may be wrong by the time this video will be 10 hours old or whatever the case may be. That's how it looked. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because it detracts from what is an absolute joyous night. And I did see the players look like they were celebrating. I've seen some clips, just had a quick look on Twitter a second ago. Looked like Ben Rama and Noble were celebrating in the change room. Obama was there. It looked like Nolan was there as well, and it looked like he'd been involved on the touchline as well. So it looked like they were all happy enough. So it's not all's well that ends well. There's going to be... I wouldn't be surprised there's some ramifications against West Ham, actually, because UEFA, they don't do anything about this. I mentioned it in the review last season. What happened was the Frankfurt stewards opened the gates and then encouraged. You go and watch the last 5 minutes of that West Ham Frankfurt game, and they were encouraging the fans to get down. I've never seen anything like it. How they didn't suffer any repercussions, I've no idea. So I don't expect too much to happen with this one either, even though it appeared that there were fans in balaclavas attacking the players' families. Do I expect anything to happen? No, I don't, because I just think they're weak and just... They lack any sort of authority at all, UEFA, and any sort of ability or capability to deal with these type of things. So I don't expect them to do anything. I do expect West Ham to get the blame. It's just sort of what happens. Not just West Ham, the English game does get the blame, doesn't it? Let's be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, that's all I want to say about that, just in case you wonder why I haven't, why I don't speak about it anymore after this. West Ham through to final. And that is amazing. I said to Gio on the video, I think it's going to take a couple of days to sink in, which is weird in itself. I didn't expect it to take a couple of days to sink in, but it hasn't sunk in yet. I wonder if I wake up in the morning and, wow. It felt absolutely surreal. I was incredibly emotional watching it. I think, actually, to be fair, as nervous as I was during the game, and it was, it was squeaky bum time, it was a nail biter and all the rest of it, I think I've probably been more nervous in games. I'm not sure I've ever been as quiet. I just sat there like that, watching. Honestly, I felt completely powerless. Sort of paralysed. But I can let you as a fan, you are always powerless, aren't you? How can you impact what happens on the pitch? I think you've got to do is, and I was watching it, and I was saying this to myself. I mean, it doesn't matter now. I was saying this to myself. You've got to separate what you're seeing and the tactics, which I didn't like, away from what's effective. And what was effective, I'll tell you what's effective. We won the first leg, and then we won the second leg. That's really all that counts, right? That is it. And absolutely, it's all, get through the semi-final, get to the final. That's all that counts. And even in the final, it's not our job in the final to entertain. We've been there before. I was there in 2006 when Steven Gerrard broke our hearts. We were pretty entertaining in that one. You get a throw-in wrong at the end, and give the ball away to Liverpool and then you lose it. So there's no glory in that. Well, I guess there was a little bit of glory in the 2006 final, but ultimately you just want to win it. And that was the final that West Ham lost, and it became the Steven Gerrard final because it struck such a good long shot at the end. But, West Ham played brilliantly in that. And I'm not even interested in that. I just want to win a trophy now. So, by hook or by crook, however we got it done, it doesn't matter. I don't care. how we got that done. We got it done, and that was what was important. But so I was watching it, I was thinking, I've got to separate this, because I mean they were tough tactics to watch. They really were. And I think that's the thing. I'm delighted to get to be in there, but in terms of watching a game for 90 minutes or 95 minutes, whatever it was, wow, that was hard. That was hard, and it worked. To sit back and defend, it absolutely worked. Get a goal on the break. That was David Moyes' plan. Sit back, defend, get a goal on the break. It happened. It worked. That's exactly what happened. He made a substitution. So I didn't like the tactics. Well, that's no good. He made a substitution. Thought, I don't like that substitution, because I thought I did think Ben Rama was struggling, to be fair, but I thought actually technically he was pretty good. The one thing he was really lacking was just that final little burst of pace just to get past. He'd do the trick and he'd get level with his marker. He couldn't quite get past him. So I thought, well, we're just lacking a little bit of pace down that side. And he goes and brings on Fornals. I think, well, that's not going to help, is it? And it just goes to show, how wrong you can be. I was, the tactics worked. Actually, to be fair, I suspected the tactics would work, but I certainly didn't think the substitution was. I just didn't think he had that in him. But David Moyes was right. The game was getting more and more stretched. And the guy that he brought on, his substitute, made the difference. And that's amazing. And it's Fornals, the person. I did a video a few days ago saying, Fornals is such a nice guy. And David Moyes has turned him into such a defensive player. He may well have to go, if he wants to be an attacking player again, he may well have to go and play elsewhere. And he pops up and does that and enshrines himself in West Ham folklore forevermore. And that's wonderful. And he'll get that. He gets the Hollywood moment. He really does. He becomes the poster boy of that win. When you look back at that win, he's the poster boy for it. But it should not be discounted how well that defence played, because they were magnificent. I didn't think the midfield played particularly well. You know what? Declan Rice had his moments. Paqueta had quite a few moments in terms of the dribbling and whatnot. And, but by and large, and Souček battled, don't get me wrong, but by and large, the midfield did not have great performances. The defenders did. And then at times when called upon, Areola made some decent saves as well. So that was the bedrock on which, the foundations in which this was built upon, this fantastic game. This fantastic victory, should I say. But, as look, Fornals been a poster boy, and rightly so, because it was a beautiful goal. It was a glorious, glorious goal. And I'm sure he, because of the significance, I'm sure he prefers that to his scorpion kick. It was, you know what, the scorpion kick, I know he intended to score by arching his feet behind him, but there's an element of luck in that. I just thought that was just his goal against Alkmaar. It was just a bloody skillful goal. Really, really, really good. Good dribble, really good touch past the player, and of course the finish was excellent. It was awesome. Perfection in terms of technique, wasn't it? So that was absolutely magnificent. Oh, listen, before I go and say any more, we have got a special offer at the moment for Julian Dicks signed merch. We've got books, we've got Julian Dicks signed retro shirts, and we got prints of a painting that Canning Town Len has done of Julian Dicks, just especially for Hammers Chat. So this is well, it says one off. Obviously, they're prints of the painting, but they've been painted just for this. Basically, myself and Gio are going to jump in my car. We're going to go and see Julian Dicks, and he's going to sign all the stuff that you want to go and buy from the store. The link is in the description below. It's hammerschatstore.com. But do check out. Literally, there's a little drop-down menu underneath this video. So as you're going down it, there's a little subscribe button. Click that. Click the thumbs up, and there's a little bell. Hit that bell, and on your way down, drop-down menu. If you click go on to Hammers Chat Store, you can go and purchase yourself something, be it a Julian Dicks book or a retro shirt or whatever, and then you can go and get it. We'll get it signed for you. Basically, that's what you're paying for. The signed merchandise. I should probably point out, say there are discounts for our patrons, and for our Addicts patrons. Our Addicts patrons are getting actually 30% off everything, which gives you the signed shirt's 150 quid. It gives you 45 quid off the signed Julian Dicks retro shirt, which we think is pretty good value. Please go and check it out in the link underneath the video. So, it's funny, Gio was saying in the video he doesn't care about Leeds and he doesn't care about Leicester, and why would you? I mean, why would you care? This is dream stuff. This is dream stuff for West Ham, and I know I keep saying it. I feel like I've waited such a long time, and there's people that have waited. I say there's people that waited longer than me. Actually, the people that probably waited longer than me probably haven't, because they probably remember the 1980 Cup final. Whilst I was alive, I was 6. I don't really remember it. I remember it being on telly. I've watched it numerous times, but I don't remember the occasion. I don't remember how important it was. So if you're any older than me, you're sort of 7, 8, 9, 10, you're probably remembering that day. So I reckon I am sort of in that cut-off of people who are just, as I mentioned it in yesterday's video. You know, you do, once you get to a point in your life, you think, am I going to see West Ham win anything? You absolutely do. You know, honestly, there'll be people watching this who are in their 20s thinking, come on, mate, what are you banging on about? If you're near my age, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. You think, oh, come on, West Ham, win something before I pop me clogs, please. I think it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I was so. It's such a shame. It's such a shame what happened with those players there. Because just at the point I was watching it, I was thinking, David Moyes ran up to the crowd and he was punching the air and he was clearly so delighted to be celebrating with them. And that was just such a nice moment. I was so pleased to see him so happy, so pleased to see him interacting with the crowd. And at that point, it didn't matter. It didn't matter that we'd had a crappy season. It really didn't. It was just a really nice moment in time of a manager who's already improved on last season, and you know, irrespective of what your thoughts might be about David Moyes and his football. As I say, you know, his tactics were, even that in that game, I found him very frustrating and hard to watch, you know, and nail-biting stuff, wasn't it? It was still a really nice moment. And I think it's amazing. It's amazing. I think for him, he'll feel that he's got unfinished business, not just at West Ham, but as I say, I think he'll feel that he got sacked from his job early at Man United, and he probably thought when he was signed for Man United, he was going to have a career before him. He served his apprenticeship at Everton, and then he was going to enter a phase of winning lots and lots of trophies for Manchester United. Hey, hasn't quite happened like that. So I think he might well see this as the opportunity, you know, to put a trophy on his CV, so to speak, and you know, and good on him. And the same for those players. You know, it's incredibly important. And it is a shame. I saw Declan Rice's face. Declan Rice had been crying. You could see there was all these happy faces, just delighted to get to the final. And then these people in the stadium, they just got to spoil it, you know? They just spoiled it. And, you know, the joy on the players' faces just turned to concern. Oh, you know. A bit rubbish, isn't it? A bit rubbish. Anyway, as I say, by the time you watch this, you'll know a lot about it. By the time I upload this video and write the description, I'll stick the telly on. I'll as I'm doing it, I'll probably know an awful lot more about it as well. I just hope none of it impacts us, you know, for the final. I hope no players get bans for whatever, jumping into the crowd or anything like that. And I hope for once UEFA can see a set of circumstances for what they were. You know, we were not at fault here. You know, far from it. Far from it. It just seems sometimes that English clubs have got and players have got to abide by a set of rules that the others don't. You know, because of our history, and you know, we're looked on with more scrutiny than the others. But it wasn't us that invaded the pitch in the last semi-final. It was Frankfurt. You know, it wasn't us fighting in the stands. It was the Alkmaar fans, and UEFA really needs to get a grip on this. Anyway, hopefully, but I don't want to hear any more about it. Quite frankly, hopefully it just gets dealt with, and we're not speaking about repercussions. It just spoils what's a really good achievement, and I don't know if you feel the same. I quite like the fact that Manchester City have got to the Champions League final, and there's only 2 clubs left in Europe, and it's sort of Manchester City and West Ham, and that feels pretty good. I like it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Yeah. Do you know what? The thing is, I know I wouldn't have felt the same if it was sort of Arsenal getting through there, or Man U getting through there, or something else, or Liverpool. But I don't know. I just do for some reason. I think maybe because Man City I know they're rich and all the rest of it. I think maybe because they've waited so long for their, you know, to get their European trophy and whatnot. I just wonder if it's I don't know. Maybe the timing is just good.